Agriculture. Planting crops may seem ordinary now, but it changed everything back then. Before farming, humans hunted and gathered whatever nature gave. Random fruit that grew on its own. Animals that happened to pass by. Then came agriculture. We started planting our own food. Instead of just taking, we began making. It wasn't easy at first. Crops failed. Disease spread. But it laid the foundation for cities, trade, and everything that followed. The wheel. One of the first uses of the wheel wasn't for transport, but for pottery. It helped spin clay into smooth, even shapes. Then sometime later, someone looked at that spinning disc and thought, hey, what if we put it under a box? That brilliant idea changed how humans moved. We could now carry heavier loads, travel farther, and use less effort. And once we understood rotation, we used it everywhere. In gears, pulleys, mills, machines, and even clocks. It started with shaping clay. It ended up shaping everything else. Writing. Writing didn't begin with poetry or philosophy. It began with receipts. In early cities like Uruk, people needed a way to track who owed what. So they drew marks on clay tablets to record trade, taxes, and grain storage. It was simple at first. Symbols, lines, numbers. But once people learned to capture thoughts on a surface, the possibilities exploded. Laws could be written. Stories could be preserved. Knowledge could outlive the people who discovered it. Writing turned memory into history and history into progress. Printing press. Before Gutenberg developed the printing press, copying a book meant writing it by hand. It took months, sometimes years, and that's just one copy. His invention changed that. Movable type made it possible to print hundreds of identical pages quickly and reliably. All of a sudden, knowledge could multiply. Religions spread faster. Discoveries got published, and mass media was born. Steam engine. Factories used to depend on rivers. Transportation relied on wind or physical muscle from people or animals. Energy was local, limited, and slow. Then the steam engine came along. It was the first time humans turned heat into motion on an industrial scale. Steam power made trains possible. Machines could work around the clock. Factories no longer needed to rely on rivers. The age of industry had arrived, and with it, modern economies were born. Electric power. Electricity has always existed, but we had no way to control or use it. That changed after Michael Faraday discovered how to generate electricity with magnets in motion. His work led to the first generators, which sent power into homes and cities. It powered machines and transformed industries. Then it changed daily life. Lighting streets at night, keeping food cold, and powering homes with new possibilities. Electric power changed our way of life forever. Telephone. For centuries, messages meant waiting. Letters took weeks or months. Then in 1876, Alexander Graham Bell, building on telegraph tech, invented the telephone. His first call, "Mr. Watson, come here," sent voices through wires. Imagine hearing your loved one's voice from thousands of miles away. Pure magic. It revolutionized trade, linked global markets, and connected communities worldwide. Today, we take FaceTime for granted, but back then, it changed everything. Refrigeration. Before refrigeration, preserving food was a constant challenge. Salt, smoke, and cellars could help, but only for so long, but not for everything. Then we built machines that could keep things cold, reliably. Food could now be stored longer and shipped farther. Cities no longer had to depend on nearby farms, and it didn't stop there. Refrigeration also made it possible to store vaccines, preserve organs, and even freeze human eggs and sperm. It redefined freshness, medicine, and reproduction, all by lowering the temperature. Airplane. The Wright brothers built the first airplanes to prove that human flight was possible. But then they started looking for real-world applications, and found their first client, the military. In World War I, airplanes became a game changer. They were used for scouting missions, bombing runs, and air combat. War had moved into the sky. Outside the battlefield, early air travel was expensive and mostly for the rich. But over time, aviation spread into civilian life, transporting passengers and goods, exploring and discovering unseen lands and lost ancient ruins hidden in the jungles, gathering weather data, and even saving lives. Vaccination. In the 18th century, smallpox killed millions each year. Edward Jenner, a rural English doctor, noticed that milkmaids who got cowpox didn't catch smallpox. He tested the idea by injecting material from a cowpox sore into a young boy, and the first vaccine was born. It was the first time humans could create targeted immunity on purpose, and it revolutionized medicine. 2 centuries later, smallpox was eradicated. When COVID-19 hit us, imagine how much worse it could have been without vaccines. Computer. The first computers weren't small or friendly. They were intimidating room-sized machines built for war, used to calculate missile paths and break enemy codes. After the war, they entered business, science, and government, processing bank records, census data, and running nuclear tests no human could handle fast enough. Then, in the 1980s, personal computers arrived and changed everything. People use them for everything from word processing to gaming to music making. Things that once took time, effort, and money suddenly became faster, easier, and cheaper than ever. And that was just the beginning of all the digital age inventions to come. None of them possible without computers. Internet. The internet wasn't invented so we could share cat videos. It began as a Cold War project. In 1969, the US military launched ARPANET, a decentralized network built to survive a nuclear attack. Over the next 2 decades, ARPANET remained limited to researchers, universities, and government labs. Then, in 1989, British scientist Tim Berners-Lee created the World Wide Web. By the mid-1990s, the web went public. Browsers, chat rooms, email, and search engines quickly followed. Since then, it has transformed how we talk, learn, shop, work, and connect. Pretty much everything. Smartphone. Computers and the internet are powerful tools, but they were limited. You couldn't use them anywhere. Then someone managed to put the whole computer into a phone, and the rest is history. The first smartphone brought everyday life into the palm of your hand. Technically, this is the first smartphone, but it's this one that did it. At first, it replaced your alarm clock, your calendar, your map, your music player, your camera, even your flashlight. Then social media moved into your hand. We'll talk about that in a sec. And shopping, payments, banking, taxis, food delivery, and almost everything else followed. Tasks that once required you to run around for hours on end could now be completed in minutes, or even seconds, with just a few taps. Smartphones didn't just change our daily lives, they reshaped commerce, the economy, and how information dictates society. Social media. Social media started over 20 years ago with simple stuff. Create a profile, add friends, send messages, post comments. Basic, clunky, desktop only. Then smartphones hit in 2007, and social media went supernova. Suddenly it was in our pockets, following us to restaurants, classrooms, even our beds. Before we knew it, our online lives started feeling more real than reality itself. Social media didn't just change culture, it created careers. Influencers like Mr. Beast, streamers on Twitch, content creators on TikTok, millionaires born from their bedrooms. And on the corporate scale, giants like Meta, owning Facebook and Instagram, and Alphabet with YouTube, rank among the world's biggest companies, raking in billions. It's also a force for change. Social media organizes protests like Black Lives Matter, powers small businesses on Etsy or Instagram, and amplifies voices that once went unheard. In just over a decade, social media went from status updates to shaping society. Artificial intelligence. Back in the 1950s, a bold dream sparked: machines that think like humans. Artificial intelligence was coined in 1956, straight out of sci-fi. But for decades, AI crawled. Early computers were slow, AI winters stalled progress, and funding dried up. Then in 1997, IBM's Deep Blue stunned the world, beating chess champ Garry Kasparov, igniting AI's potential. Despite popping up in headlines, AI stayed niche until 2022, when ChatGPT and Midjourney made it mainstream, creating art, writing, analyzing data, and more. The possibilities exploded overnight. What sets AI apart from every invention? It learns on its own. From curing diseases to tackling climate change, it's reshaping our world. Some say AI may be humanity's last invention, creating smarter versions of itself, outpacing all we've ever dreamed. Do you agree? Comment below. From agriculture to AI, these game changers reshaped our world. Did we miss anything? Subscribe to see what's next.